Hello and welcome back to the Power Chatform. After a brief 2 to 3 year hiatus, I'm back with another episode, and tonight I'm joined by Mark Christie. Mark Christie is a MVP, a Microsoft MVP of 5 years. He is a multiple time MCT. He's worked with CRM systems for the past 15 years. The creator and runner of the Microsoft 365 Community Content Directory, which is 365community.online. And co-founder of Scottish Summit. Mark Christie, welcome to the show.
Hello. So you're actually reading a 2-year-old bio, so it's now 17 years. And I genuinely just figured that out because I was doing something, was it last week? And I was like, I've been 15 years at this for about 2 years now. So I thought I'd better update that. So a little chat GPT, here's my bio, update the bio.
That's the dread. I mean, I've gotten past the decade mark now, so I just say to people that I've been in this for over a decade, and it's fine. And that's just a general amount of time that people are fine with. So, so if people don't know who you are, and my intro wasn't good enough, do you want to give me a brief intro as to who Mark Christie is?
So do you want my intro, or so my intro is I am the grumpy bearded Scots guy who is best known for being a grumpy Scots guy that hands out merch at events. But for anyone else who still hasn't got a clue, as you say, I've been a consultant, MVP, MCT for a long time. I run a company with, I was going to say 3 other people, 3 friends really. So yeah, that's me. I hate talking about myself. Give me something that isn't me to talk about, and I'm good.
Okay, well, we'll kind of get to that, but let's start off a bit about you. So, how did you get involved in Dynamics CRM or business applications?
So, just like everyone else, by mistake. I say it was by mistake. So my background, my initial background is I'm a professional sports coach, but that doesn't pay a lot of money. So I was having to do contract work during like pre-season or during the week, during the days when training wasn't on. And I was finding I was actually making more money in one day than I was as a week as a football coach. And it just wasn't sustainable. So I took a job with a company, and I didn't realize at that time that they were actually a Microsoft partner, and they were a GP partner. So yeah, a nice introduction to Microsoft Dynamics. So they were a GP partner, and they had a customer at the PSYBT, which is a Prince's Youth Trust. I can't remember the full word for it. And they had a CRM system. And then one day, the server that had both CRM and GP died. So I had enough skills to be able to run a backup tape, run the backup tape, restore GP, because at that time I was just like an internal hardware, like does the network connect, does somebody have a new PC? I was able to recover the backup, reinstall CRM, reconnect the databases, and get CRM back up and running. And then I became the CRM person. And really that's how it was. It was by accident.
Yeah, I have a career in IT now. So in primary school, I was known as the computer guy because I played a computer game during like lesson time. It's like a history game or something, and figured it out. And then I just got branded. He knows computers. And 30 years later, here I am.
So I was the opposite in school. I done higher it was actually standard grade computing, and I failed. I got a 7. So I failed computing at school.
Interesting. And here you are, owner of your own business with using business applications and IT services things. So
yeah, I think it was more. Yeah, it was maybe just that I wasn't challenged, or I don't know what it was. I'm going with that. Let's go with that.
Okay. So most people know you from the Microsoft community. How did you get involved in the Microsoft community?
So I got into a niche of field service. So I moved on from Kinross Software. I think there was a couple of jumps after that, and ended up working on a project on field service, and there was just absolutely no collateral on it. There were no blogs, there were no videos, there was genuinely nothing. It was reading the README guide on the server installation. That is the only way I managed to get to know it. So one of the ways I always found that I learned was writing something down. So I just started to, and I didn't really even know I was blogging properly at that time. I was writing myself my own notes, and then I just started publishing them so that I had somewhere to keep them, because I thought I'm going to lose them if I keep them on the computer, because I format my computer every 6 weeks and do things like that. So I just put them on a WordPress site. And then all of a sudden, people were asking me field service questions. And then when I moved to Ebex had some IP around field service, and there was an event down in London where Ebex had a speaking slot and said, right, will you talk about field service? And I'm like, no. Why not? I'm like, I'm not speaking. I'm not getting in front of people who probably know 100 times more than I do and speaking about something I don't really know about. And I went and I spoke, and just so happened there was a guy called Ben Vollmer in the audience that day. And that's really how I got into the community.
Yeah, kind of by accident again, and being pushed into the limelight a little bit.
Yeah, I genuinely didn't want anything to do with that, because it was there was like 500 people at the event, or I think it was around 500. I hadn't spoken before. It was in the Microsoft offices.
Yeah.
So that to me, I mean, now it's like, oh, it's the Microsoft office, I can't be bothered with that. But at that time, it was like, wow, I not only get to go into the Microsoft office, but I get to talk at it. And like my first session, so I had it must have been a 9:30 session or a 10 o'clock session. And I was on right after the keynote. So I listened to the first half hour of the keynote and then went to my room to set up. And I just kind of sat about in that room thinking, I'm in the Microsoft building. I'm connected to this screen. My laptop is sitting on a lectern that says Microsoft on the front of it. And yeah, that was quite daunting at that point.
It's a bit surreal, isn't it? Like when you think about it, Microsoft's been part of probably most of our lives.
Yeah.
For the last 30-ish years, since my dad bought a PC and then came home with Windows 95. And then to actually go to Seattle or to a Microsoft office and see the sign and see everything else it's quite surreal. You can never think that you can get there, but it's always a nice story.
And now obviously you get invited to go there, and it still blows my mind that like some little boy, well not little boy, some boy from Perth gets invited to go to Microsoft offices and speak to Microsoft staff or train Microsoft staff on products. It is surreal. It's weird.
It is. So one of the things we want to talk to you about today, kind of branching off from the Microsoft community, is Strategy Summit. This idea that has become a global phenomenon, with people traveling from around the world to attend.
Yep.
So how did you come up with the idea for Strategy Summit, and why did you choose a sort of big conference rather than a smaller user group or something like that?
Am I allowed to swear on this podcast?
Yeah. Got an explicit tag next time.
So the way that myself and Ian are kind of programmed is, if somebody tells us we can't do something, fuck you, we'll do it, and we'll do it better than you think. That is genuinely what Scottish Summit was. Scottish Summit was initially going to be a user group on a Saturday for about 50 people. That's what we were aiming for. So we were like, right, that's fine. We were told by somebody, I wouldn't even bother doing that. You'll not get 20 people in Scotland to an event. And that to us was like, okay, that's a challenge. So we went from, let's run a little event for people in Scotland to come along to I've been at one of the events that you've run before. I'm going to take your event and I'm going to make it 10 times better. And in hindsight and looking back, 100% the wrong attitude, 100% the wrong reasons to do it. But don't tell a Scottish guy you can't do something, because you'll just be proven wrong, really.
Yeah.
So that's exactly what it was. It was somebody said you can't do it. So me and Ian were like, yeah, we can, and we can do it better.
Yeah. So Stretch Summit started in 2019, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. And since then, we had 2 in-person ones, 2019 and 2020.
Yep.
Then did a virtual one, which was crazy as a virtual event. I've never seen anything quite like it. Multi-stream, multi-track, all sorts of things. 2022, we got back to Glasgow.
Yep.
2023, so just a couple of weeks ago, we were in Manchester. I didn't quite realize that they'd changed the borders, but we'll talk about that. And next year we're going to Aberdeen.
Yes.
So one of the things that I've noticed as an outside observer is that you always try to do something a little bit different. I don't think it's the whole "fuck you, I won't do what you tell me" thing. I think it's more like you see patterns and you see what's going on, and you try and do something different. So at the first event, it was it like a roughly 50% gender split for speakers?
So it was actually, we had more female speakers than male speakers at the first event. By one, but that, I mean,
It counts.
It counts, and we do a lot of things that maybe push boundaries.
Yeah.
Because although some people seen that as a good thing, a lot of people said, but you've only selected me as a female, or you've only approached me because I'm female. But there has to be ways that you can build a community, and it's building up the confidence of everyone, not just having the same bearded white middle-aged white men. And you have to try and buck that trend, and that's what we've done. And looking back at the people who first spoke at that event, who were either male or female speakers, that was the first event that they've spoken at, to see some of the things that those people have actually gone on to do, running other conferences, becoming MVPs, going to work for Microsoft. It's been phenomenal just to see that. And I hope that what we were able to give them as a platform helped them to get where they are.
Yeah. So was it a conscious decision to always try and be a little bit different, or did it just kind of come naturally?
No, we always tried to do something. So I was told last year by somebody in Microsoft that we do something and then it's done at the next event by Microsoft, which for me was actually really good. And I thought, I've never done that. She says, yeah, basically, when Microsoft see you've got an idea and you do it well, we'll implement that. So I took that as quite a compliment.
Yeah. I'm expecting a t-shirt cannon at the next Microsoft event I go to.
Yeah. I actually need to get that t-shirt cannon back. It's in Glasgow at the ice hockey right now. I need to get that one back. But yeah, the first one we done more female speakers. The second one we done new speakers. So speakers who hadn't spoken before, and we got, I can't remember percentages now, but I believe that at least 25% of speakers were new speakers, which was cool. Even when we done the COVID summit, we'll call it the COVID summit. It is what it is. What we done is we actually used something to our advantage, because there's a lot of people that, one, were never able to afford the travel to get to Scotland to speak at an event.
Yeah.
Weren't able to get childcare, weren't able to do things, certain reasons that they couldn't get to Scotland to speak. And we, by having it remotely, we were able to give them the platform to be able to do that. And I genuinely cannot remember how many sessions. I think it was over 300 sessions.
Yeah.
That has been the most stressful Scottish Summit.
It seemed pretty intricate. I was helping out on some of the streams and things like that, and as well as speaking. And that was a madness of an event. But again, pulled off by 2 Scottish blokes that just wanting to do something, and yeah, I think it's great.
Yeah.
You mentioned new speakers there. There's always a good emphasis on new speakers for all Scottish Summit events.
Yeah.
You do things like workshops and mentoring for new speakers. Does this all come from your coaching background, the idea of like wanting to encourage people and bring new talent through all the time?
There's twofold to it. There is the nurturing side of getting new people in and giving people the confidence. There's also a bit of selfishness in it. I don't want to see the same sessions by the same people every single week. Now, I'm not going to name any people, and people know I'm an arsehole, so it doesn't really matter, right? There was times that I seen the same person delivering the same session 4 times in 1 week at 4 different events. Now, if somebody was to submit that to Scottish Summit, I'd be like, please no. But so I've got a philosophy, right? I will do a session once online. I will then do it once at a UG, and then I will do it once at an event, and that's it, binned after that. Unless there's a special request for it, or it's in a market that has never been done before.
Yeah.
So that's my philosophy, rather than the same people peddling out the same sessions. Because one, it doesn't get people along to our event, because that session again, or that session as well, Jesus, is that just a repeat of 3 years ago? They've just, because Microsoft have renamed the product 3 times, it's called something different.
Cough, portals, cough. Sorry, did I say that out loud?
I don't know. If it makes it in, it makes it in.
Yeah. I kind of get that as well. And that's, the technology moves so fast. How can you really deliver the same session over and over again and expect people to do it? So I totally get that idea. One of the things I really like about Scottish Summit is that it's not for profit. You're never charged the £1,500, £2,500 to get into Scottish Summit.
Yep.
But what you do is you've implemented a charitable donation per ticket. Do you want to talk a little bit about the philosophy behind that?
Yeah, so I mean, Scottish Summit, one of the biggest things we want to do is actually give back to people. So yeah, we want to encourage networking, we want to encourage people to learn, but we also want to give back. And by being able to take donations, it allows us to give back to local charities and local things. So we've raised money for local food banks, for homeless, for Thai this year, which was been fantastic. The engagement we've had with them has been really good, but then Kilbride Hospice as well. We've been able to raise, I think at the moment it stands at over £20,000.
Wow.
For all of the charities. And that for me, brilliant. The amount of things that it can do for these charities, I feel outweighs anything that we do as Scottish Summit, because the charities can use that money a lot more than we can.
Yeah, it's the legacy that you leave behind as well. Yeah. So speaking of local charities and local events, your most recent event in Manchester, first event outside of Scotland. Don't get me wrong, I was really glad to see an event in my hometown. Do you want to talk a little bit about why you decided to take Scottish Summit on tour?
I don't think we did decide to do it. It just happened.
Yeah, by accident.
Genuinely, it was. What we didn't want is we were thinking of something, because we were going from Scottish Summit 22 to 24. There was a big gap, and we initially talked about, let's just do a small online thing where we can just have 3 tracks, Azure, Dynamics, and M365. We'll have 8 sessions, and that was it. Then we kind of moved on from that and said, right, actually, we have access to the Microsoft recording studios. Let's just get everyone to go to the recording studios and we'll professionally record them. And then, obviously, with the raft of changes in Microsoft, things changed. We were then offered facilities at the United 92 Academy. Or sorry, University Academy 92.
Yeah.
We were offered facilities there because they had full digital media rooms, and part of the building is the Microsoft offices for Manchester. And the more we were talking about it, we thought, let's just run a UG-sized event. And you know what I'm like. That went from a 3-track to 6-track to 9-track to let's try and do as much as we can. But I mean, I will say the event itself, myself and Ian did take a little bit of a step back from it and let Matt and Zoe run the event with all the other organisers. Obviously, we were there as a, do you have any questions? And you know how much I like to just get my oar in on stuff anyway, but it was more a, right, it was almost like, you know, the trust fall exercise. Can we give it to somebody and let them do it? Because one of the things that we've thought about is, and we've had chats about, right, let's run Scottish Summit on tour in Canada and let some of the Canadian people do it. Or there was other events who are maybe not happy with how their events are running. They weren't getting the traction. I'm like, well, potentially you could run your event at Scottish Summit on tour. Would that get you more traction? Would that get you more sponsors, more people? So it has been a sort of trust exercise to see if, not that we can trust people, if we can trust ourselves not to get too involved.
Yeah. It's funny to talk about trust as well. You gave it to Matt Baird, who's a Liverpool supporter, and he picks a venue that's right outside of Old Trafford, both the United ground and the cricket ground. Yep. On the day both teams are playing as well, so it's nice and chaotic.
Yeah, and me being a City fan as well. I'm a City fan, so that didn't
go down well with you.
Nah. But I mean, to be fair, that venue was absolutely amazing. That as a venue was brilliant. And I think what made that venue and the whole thing better was actually the staff.
Yeah.
So the staff and the volunteers who were there. And we had a girl called Dina, who was like the events coordinator. Genuinely, she was running about all the time. We would ask her a question and like 3 seconds later, here's the pen drive you asked for. Like everything and anything. Other venues that I say other venues, we've only run one other venue and we felt almost like we were a burden to them. Like, you're here, but this is our venue. Whereas we felt that we were welcomed and it was something that we enjoyed, and they were fantastic. Just the staff that were doing the lifts, showing people in and out of rooms, giving people directions. They were just brilliant. It was amazing.
Yeah, say what you want about Manchester. Say that it rains all the time, you know, say that we have a massive rivalry of football games. We're all very friendly, though.
I mean, what I was really surprised with is I parked my car in a car park for 2 days. I still had my wheels and my car stereo.
Yeah.
That had been over in Liverpool. That was gone.
No, I mean, at least you didn't park at the airport. It would have been down there as well. So cool. So turning our attention to the next event, we're going to. I see you aged 10 years in that question there.
Yeah.
So the next event, we're going to the P&J Live Aberdeen. I'm very proud that I didn't say the PJ and Duncan Live Aberdeen, because every time I read that, that's what I see. Tell me a little bit about what we can expect from the next event.
Yeah, well, first of all, we're going to have you wrecking the mic on stage, I think, is the PJ and Duncan reference that we're going to go with there. But so genuinely, this event, we've quadrupled our biggest budget that we've ever had for an event.
Wow.
Now, at the moment, it's obviously what is public and what is in the ideas canon. Public at the moment it's the 17th to 19th.
Yeah.
What I have in my head is actually going to be the 15th to the 19th.
Okay.
Now, I don't think I've told many people this yet.
It's an exclusive.
Yeah. So one of the things at the moment is there is a huge skills gap in the Microsoft cloud, whether it's Dynamics, whether it's Azure. There's a lot of consultants who are maybe moving into more senior management positions who aren't on the tools, and we're not backfilling them with people.
Yeah.
We're not going to the universities. We're not going to modern apprenticeships to bring people in. There's genuinely a big skills gap of junior and mid-level consultants. So how do we get them in? And that's where we're going to use 24. And our goal, and we've already started doing this, we're working with the local universities in Aberdeen, and we're going to be talking to the uni students who are about to qualify. We're going to be inviting them along to the event. We're going to be getting them to volunteer at the event. We have a sponsor package where the recruiters can work with the students to find them roles within the platform. We're trying just as much as we can to get more people into the industry. And when I mentioned the 15th and the 16th, the 15th, we are working with a local STEM group in Aberdeen to allow primary school kids to come in on the evening of the 15th to do a couple hours as a STEM session.
Wow, nice.
So that's the 15th. The 16th, we're also working with a couple of, I can't really name them right now, but a couple of charitable trusts who educate teachers in IT. And we're looking to run a full day just for teachers on the 16th to educate them on more Microsoft products. Now, whether that's teachers teaching other teachers about teaching in tech, or whether it's consultants who do cool things with Power Automate and cool things with Whiteboard and stuff, I've not got into that level of detail, but that's what my aim is. Because that to me is leaving. We're going from primary school, we're educating the educators, and we're bringing the people into the community, and then we're having the community days. And that for me is probably the biggest legacy that we can leave if it is the last one.
Oh, okay.
I always like to drop that one in.
Okay. All right. I'll leave that one there. I'll let people pick apart that if they want. This venue is a pretty substantial venue.
Yeah.
I was looking at the venue earlier today. There's concerts on some of these great musical artists that I'm sure you've already booked tickets for. The Busted Anniversary Tour is coming there quite soon. Deacon Blue.
Yep.
They've also had concerts from the likes of Alice Cooper, Disney on Ice, Elton John, and WWE Live. What does it mean to you to be able to take something that you created and co-founded to a venue that has been played and has had the likes of these stars and these events in?
So you're actually saying this 3 days before me, Ian, and Matt go down to watch the wrestling in Manchester. In London, we're down at Wembley watching it. But the venue itself, I mean, there's a couple of reasons we chose that. I mean, we spoke to Strathclyde Uni again. We looked at the Edinburgh International Conference Centre. We might need to re-edit that, the Edinburgh International Conference Centre. We looked at them. We also looked at a few different places in Glasgow as well. Nobody has the facilities that we need. Now, obviously, we ran out of room as well at the uni.
Yeah.
Now, the conference centre doesn't have as many rooms as a uni. Even the things in Glasgow that we looked at, like the Science Centre and SECC, we looked at the Ovo Hydro, we looked at Murrayfield, we looked at a couple of football stadiums as well. Because one of the thoughts that we actually had was, could we use a football stadium and could we use all of the private lounges as the individual rooms? But constraints with the rooms meant you could only get about 20 people into a room, so it wasn't really viable. Me and Ian then were like, right, let's go up and look at this because it's a purpose-built conference centre. And so you have half of the building or 3/4 of the building is a conference centre, then you've got a 10,000-seater arena. So it's all connected. There's hotels on site. There's 2 hotels on site. There's a bar on site. There's parking for 1,000 or 2,000 people. It's 10 minutes in the car from the airport. A 15-minute walk. Like transport links are like everything just aligned. And then when we were in the building and we were looking around and like, this is really nice. And then into the next room and it's like, oh geez, that like really? And I think they obviously, it was like they were building up a story. We went into here's the basic room, here's the next room here, and by the end of it, we're just like, Jesus. So even like the main room that we have for the keynote speech will sit 2,500 people.
Wow.
So 2,500 people, triple screens. Like the screens, I think were something stupid like, I want to say they were like 20 meters by 20 meters or something up on either wall. There's a stage, internal fireworks, lighting, globes, like everything. And I'm like, I don't care about the event. I'm producing something for the keynote speech.
Yeah.
And we've got a huge keynote speaker.
Yeah.
Already signed up, ready to go. They have parents who actually live in Scotland, so they are coming over and making a week of it.
Sounds good. Sounds great.
So won't be announced until a couple of months. I think we're not going to announce it until a year, basically bang on a year before the event's due.
Okay. I will eagerly await the announcement of that then.
Yes.
Stretch Summit is different from, I can't mention this earlier, it's very different from other events. You have people traveling around the world to a free Microsoft conference made by the community. You've had people from Canada, you've had people from Australia, all across Europe and elsewhere come to your events. What do you think makes Scottish Summit so different from other events that attracts such a wide audience?
So me and Ian have got a saying. It's just don't be a dick. Like, how do I politically put this one? One of the biggest things about us is community and feeling that you're part of something. Like, yes, this event was started by me and Ian, but I think that anyone that ever has spoken at the event hopefully feels like the event, like they're part of the event. Like, it might not be their name in the headlights, but if you come and spoken at an event, hopefully you felt so welcome that you feel like it's your event and that you can then champion that to other people. That's what we hope. And I think it is the kind of vibe that we give off, that it's not about egos, it's about being nice to people, it's about learning, it's about catching up. And yeah, and it's trying to find what trainers Mark's wearing for the day, just things like that. I genuinely think that a lot of it as well is to do with the marketing or social media side of things that goes on.
Yeah.
Because I can be quite interesting online with some of the stuff. I like to have a little bit of banter. I like to give people maybe tasters of what's to come. And it just build the anticipation, so it's people must attend it.
Yeah.
Like, I think, when was it? Was it this year's one? Before we announced the venue, I put out some latitude and longitudes. I don't know if you've seen this or not, but I put out a lat and long, and it just went, and it was like Nobody Island or something like that, like something stupid like that, that people were trying to decipher codes of what it was and everything. I mean, so I love the wrestling, okay? And when there's a new wrestler going to come in, or there's a wrestler coming back from 6 months injury, they do little vignettes like this and little teasers. And that's kind of where I get some of these things. It's like, let's just drip a little bit of information that some people might get it, and some people might comment, others won't have a clue. And so I like to do that sort of thing. And it just keeps people interested and bought into it.
Yeah, that sort of stuff does capture the audience and does like bring people in. So I always like those teasers that you put out there, and even in some of the WhatsApp chats, people sharing random images of like the different venues and then trying to work out the famous landmarks.
Yeah, genuinely, it's crazy. There's like the group chats of people doing that, and like people emailing the contact email address. Is this right? And is that right? And the other thing that I'm quite good at as well, and I'll give away one of my secrets here, is there are certain people that if you want a secret to get out, that you tell. And I think I know who those people are, and I tell them those secrets, and those secrets get out. So there's ways and means of doing all of these things. So it's knowing what to do, when to do, if it's quiet for a while. And one of the things that we try not to do is if there's other events on, we try not to be too loud. There's obviously things like Nordic Summit, Arden's South Coast Summit. There's Talon coming up. We're off to Vegas in a couple of weeks, I believe, as well. So there's all these events coming out, and it's like we'll champion them. We'll retweet them, re-X them. I don't know what the terminology of that is. I don't. Or unthread, rethread, whatever we're doing with threads as well. We try and champion them, because even like this year at Scottish Summit, we had DocCentric sponsor us. And DocCentric are one of the main funders of Dynamics Minds. So we're like, look, you're going to run the event. A lot of the same people who are speaking will be speaking there. Let's just work together and see what we can do and collaborate. And we've done that.
Yeah. I do always like the don't be a dick strategy. Works. It's been great to talk to you, Mark. Is there anything else you want to say, or do you want to let people know where they can find you on social media, X and
They can't find me on social media. No, genuinely, and I know this is off topic, coming off social media has probably been one of the best things I've ever done.
Yeah.
I don't even have Twitter or Threads or anything installed. All I've got is LinkedIn, and Rachel and the marketing team at Proximal has the login for that, and she deals with it. I genuinely don't do I don't do social media, and you'll probably, if you've ever tried to get me in a WhatsApp group, it's near impossible to do so. I try and keep as low and quiet as I can. It's just the way that I am.
Just too much noise.
Just too much noise, yeah. So if you really want to find me, I'm sure you can. The Mark Christie is what all the accounts are. Whether they're active, I genuinely don't know. You can find scottishsummit.com, proximal3.com, perthpanthersicehockey.com, wherever you want to find me.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's been great to talk to you, Mark. Thank you very much.
No worries. Thank you very much.